For years, my husband belittled me, claiming I was worthless. I endured it, quietly siphoned off his money, and left him the day he got fired. Now he's penniless, unemployed, and crashing at his mother's place. He's been calling me incessantly, up to 30 times daily. I met David at Flanagan's, a popular downtown bar where everyone gathers after work on Fridays. I was there with colleagues from the insurance agency where I'm an administrative assistant. David exuded confidence, buying me a seltzer and talking about his role in middle management at Great Plains Industries. He made me feel chosen, like I stood out in the crowd. We married after 2 years of dating. My friends thought it was rushed, especially Tara, my closest friend since high school. But I was convinced he was the one. In hindsight, the red flags were obvious, like how he pushed to merge our bank accounts immediately, saying it's what couples do. Or how he'd remark, "Good thing I'm here to manage the finances. You'd probably blow it all at department stores," with a laugh that got everyone else chuckling too. I didn't see how his jabs grew harsher after we combined our money. When I bought groceries, $7 for fancy milk? That's why I review the statements. When I earned a small raise, well, you're not exactly executive material, but it's sweet they tossed you a bone. When I considered applying for a promotion, sweetie, that's not your thing. Besides, I earn enough for us both. Always followed by, I'm just kidding. Or, you know I love you. I bought it because I thought that's what marriage looked like. My parents had a similar dynamic. Dad always poking fun at mom's cooking, her figure, or her quirky hobbies. Things shifted about 2 years ago. David started staying out later. Not drastic at first. 7 p.m. instead of 6, then 8. Sometimes he smelled of whiskey. Sometimes of that cologne they spritz at mall counters. When I asked, he'd say, just drinks with the work crew, or had to wine and dine a client. Then he'd comment on how adorable my doubts were, suggesting I stick to worrying about restocking the fridge with sparkling water. Our intimacy changed too. He stopped initiating unless he was tipsy. When I tried, he'd make remarks about my body. Not outright insults, just observations that stung. "You've got a little tummy thing going on," he'd say, prodding my stomach as I lay exposed. Or, "Your chest looks different since you put on weight. I'm 5 feet 6 inches, 145 pounds. Same as when we met." I started withdrawing physically, and he weaponized it. "This is why guys step out," he'd say offhandedly, scrolling through social media. "When their wives stop trying." He never confessed to infidelity, but the implication lingered like a shadow. Last summer, I noticed our savings account was dwindling. When I brought it up, David erupted. "Are you spying on me? Don't you trust me? I'm the one bringing in the real cash here." He slammed the door so hard it knocked down a picture frame we'd chosen together when we moved in. That night, I couldn't sleep. As he snored beside me, I checked our banking app on my phone. There were withdrawals, small but steady, often on Fridays, $200 to $300 each time, adding up to thousands over months. The next day at work, I confided in Ethan, my cubicle neighbor who's savvy with finances, always chatting about his stock trades and crypto bets that I barely understand. "That sounds sketchy," he said. "You should start saving on your own, just in case." "In case of what?" I asked. He gave me a knowing look, and I felt foolish. I knew exactly what he meant. In case my world collapsed. I started small, opening a private online account with my personal email David couldn't access. I diverted $100 per paycheck to it. He never noticed, only checking our joint account. I picked up extra shifts during claims processing rushes, telling David I was helping out but stashing the overtime pay. Around the holidays, things worsened. David came home from his company's Christmas party in a rage. He'd been passed over for a promotion again. "Fucking Michael," he grumbled, referring to the co-worker who got the role. "Probably cozying up to the boss. That's what his kind does, right? You're not cut out for promotions." I stood in our kitchen, realizing my husband was average. Not just as a person, but at his job. The thought felt disloyal, but it stuck. January brought more barbs. About my cooking. Guess not everyone can make decent spaghetti. About my friends. Tara's still single because she's too picky, like someone else I know. About my family. Your sister's kids are so noisy, must run in the family. I started logging everything in my phone's notes app. Date, time, exact words. I'm not sure why at first, maybe to prove I wasn't imagining it. It became a ritual, then a strange solace, evidence I wasn't losing my mind. In February, I found statements for a credit card I didn't know existed, mailed to David's work email, which I saw only because he left his laptop open after passing out watching videos. Charges from places like Starlight Lounge and Elite Room. Google revealed they were strip clubs near his office. I didn't confront him. Instead, I doubled my secret savings and browsed apartments online during lunch breaks. In March, layoffs loomed at David's company. He came home increasingly irritable, drinking more cheap beer, his jabs cutting deeper. "If I get laid off, you'll finally have to figure out what real work is," he'd sneer. Meanwhile, I calculated how many paychecks I needed to escape. Last week, it happened. He called me at work, voice taut with fury. "They canned me. Michael's team was spared. Fucking favoritism." My pulse raced as he went on. "Don't cook tonight. I'm meeting the guys." He stumbled home at 2 a.m., drunk. I feigned sleep as he fumbled around our bedroom, muttering about disloyal wives and unappreciated men. The next morning, he slept till noon while I quietly transferred joint savings to my private account. When he finally woke, hungover and surly, he announced, "We're moving to my parents' place till I find work." "Quit your little job. It's not like you earn anything worthwhile." I nodded silently, thinking of the apartment I'd applied for and been approved for the day before, which he knew nothing about. "What? No thoughts?" he mocked. "Of course not. You've got nothing worth saying." Something in me broke. 8 years of his taunts clicked into focus. I looked at him, this ordinary man with thinning hair and a growing paunch who'd convinced me I was nothing. "Actually," I said calmly, "I have plenty to say." I told him I was leaving, that I'd planned it for months, that I knew about the strip clubs and the missing money. His face cycled through shock, disbelief, anger, then fear. "You can't leave," he stammered. "You're nothing without me. Who'd want you? You can't even handle money." I smiled, grabbed my packed suitcase from the closet, and walked out. It's been 3 days. I'm writing from my new apartment, a modest one-bedroom near the park. David's called 37 times today, sent 19 texts, left voicemails swinging from apologies to threats. He discovered I moved most of our savings, legally since my name was on the accounts. He's at his mom's now, jobless, broke, back in his childhood bedroom with his shattered ego. First update. Thank you all for the support on my last post. Your comments mean more than you know, especially on nights when I second-guess everything. It's been a week since I left David. Freedom didn't hit me like some grand revelation. It was realizing I forgot my phone charger. My first night was spent with my phone at 12% battery, too wired to sleep, watching YouTube videos on low brightness about organizing tiny apartments. My new place is fine. The bathroom vent clicks oddly, and the neighbor's kid plays clarinet at 7 a.m. But it's mine. I bought a shower curtain from a discount store, a fabric one with little fringes. David would have scoffed, calling it basic and saying I can't pick decor without his input. David's tally: 127 calls, 89 texts, 15 voicemails. They started with, "Baby, please come back," and morphed into, "You ungrateful wretch, you're nothing without me." The latest was 2 minutes of heavy breathing. I haven't replied, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't get to me. His mom, Margaret, showed up at my work yesterday. A real treat. She was teary, saying David hasn't eaten or bathed, just mopes about how he lost everything. I felt a pang of guilt until she said, "He's sorry about the strip clubs, dear. Men need attention when they're wives, you know." And just like that, the guilt vanished. I didn't mention the gambling, the online betting receipts I found in his email, the $23,000 in hidden credit card debt, or the payday loans. She probably still sees me as the villain who ditched her perfect son when he lost his job. The strangest part? My daily routine? Brewing coffee for one? Shopping for one? I realized I hate the cereal David insisted we buy. Coming home to quiet instead of a litany of my daily failures. I keep bracing for his reaction to things, then remembering I don't need his approval. Tara's been a rock, bringing takeout, helping me move furniture, not judging when I cry over trivial things like picking laundry detergent. David always chose it. Yesterday, I had a meltdown in a store over which hangers to buy, plastic or fabric. Tara held me in the aisle as I sobbed about it. Peak grace. Right there. The money situation is complicated. David noticed I moved most of our savings and is telling everyone I robbed him, ignoring that my name was on the accounts and I took. His colleague Michael, who got the promotion David coveted, messaged me on social media to congratulate me. Apparently, David badmouthed Michael to everyone, using slurs and trying to undermine him at work. That's why David was really fired, not layoffs. Last night I ordered pizza with pineapple, which David said was for tasteless people. Ate it on my cheap new couch, watching a reality show he called Brain Dead, wearing leggings he dubbed lazy. The pizza tasted like freedom. Lonely, a bit cold by the end, but mine. I know this is scattered. I'm scattered. One moment I'm proud, the next I'm doubting myself. This morning, I stared in the mirror, trying to see the useless person David described. Instead, I saw me, exhausted, scared, but still standing. He's still at his mom's, still unemployed, still calling. His latest move is having friends' wives message me about how worried everyone is, how I'm ruining a family. Meanwhile, I'm building a life that's mine. Second update. I wasn't planning another update so soon, but today was intense. It started with a food delivery order. Thai from a spot near my apartment. I was working from home getting my internet set up. The doorbell rang and I opened it without checking. It wasn't the delivery. It was David, holding cheap grocery store flowers, still in their $9.99 plastic wrap. He looked thinner, unshaven, in an old college sweatshirt. For a split second, I almost let him in out of habit. Instead, I shut the door, hands trembling as I locked it. "Sweetie, let's talk," he said through the door. "I've changed. I'm in therapy." Spoiler, he's not. Margaret told Tara he refused counseling. I didn't answer, just sat on the floor, back against the door, listening to his cycle of pleas, excuses, and insults. "I'm sorry for everything. You're blowing this out of proportion. Remember our good times? You're being ridiculous. I miss you. You're nothing without me. I love you. You're heartless." This went on for 45 minutes. My neighbor, a kind elderly woman who waters my plants, called the cops. David was gone by the time they arrived, but not before slipping a letter under my door. I haven't read it. It's on my kitchen counter like a ticking time bomb. The police took a report, told me to call if he returns, and suggested cameras. Already ordered some, thanks to your suggestions from my last post. David got my address through Margaret, who asked Tara's sister because she was concerned. I'm not even upset with Margaret anymore. She's as manipulated by David as anyone, convinced her son's the victim. After the police left, I had a quiet panic attack in my bathroom, sitting on the toilet lid, scrolling social media to calm down. Called out of work for the day, my boss, who's been through something similar, was kind, millions of dollars in hidden debt. He's sleeping on a friend's couch now, still unemployed, still blaming everyone but himself. Margaret called, starting with the usual guilt about David not eating and crying constantly. Then she dropped a bombshell. "I should have seen it earlier. He's just like his dad." Turns out David's father didn't leave for a better job, as David claimed. He gambled away their savings and racked up debt in Margaret's name. Like father, like son. I'm not angry anymore. Not really. It's more like taking off tight shoes after a long day. Relief, but the marks linger. Some changes in 3 months. I watch what I want without snide remarks. My grocery bill's half what it was. No more pricey energy drinks I don't even like. I sleep better. My plants are alive. I'm using my real laugh again, not the soft one David said was classier. Some things haven't changed. I still check my mirrors, flinch at phone notifications, apologize for everything, struggle with choices, and sometimes miss him, like when I saw his favorite cereal on sale. Michael gave me his number, saying to call if I need anything, not romantically, just kindly. He's happily married. I'm still learning to stand on my own. Final update, I was at a grocery store, splurging on their gourmet mac and cheese when I bumped carts with Michael. Yes, that Michael, the one David blamed for his firing. That awkward moment when you see someone you vaguely know but aren't sure if you should say hi? Multiply it by 1,000 when it's your ex's ex-coworker he accused of ruining his life. But Michael just smiled and asked how I was. We grabbed coffee at the store's cafe, and what he told me was eye-opening. David wasn't let go due to layoffs or Michael stealing his spot. He was fired for faking expense reports, strip club visits logged as client meetings, solo bar tabs as team lunches. The company offered him a chance to repay and take a demotion, but he responded with a rant about Michael, who wasn't involved, and made threats HR couldn't overlook. Michael shared screenshots of post-firing messages from David, vile stuff, full of slurs and threats. David had been spreading lies at work, claiming Michael and I were having an affair. We'd never even talked before that day. Sitting there, coffee going cold, I realized David was even more of a stranger than I'd thought. Other updates. Potato thinks 3 a.m. is no longer playtime. I read David's letter in therapy. 8 pages of apologies mixed with blame. The doorbell camera's installed. Worth it. I'm trying yoga via online videos. David said it was for people too dumb for real exercise. I found an old diary from when we started dating, gushing about how lucky I was that David picked me, how I needed to be better for him. One entry describes spending hours cooking his favorite meal after he said my food tasted like I didn't care. Margaret called, saying David's a mess, then admitted he's like his father, who gambled away their money and left. History repeats. I'm not mad anymore. It's like a weight's lifted, but the imprints remain. I'm learning, cooking, laughing, living without his voice in my head, but I'm still healing, still growing, still me.